Do you ever receive content for a course and you think, oh my God, there's so much of it and it's all important and it all has to be in there. How am I going to help the learner get through this quickly, enjoy it, and actually learn all this stuff? And what often happens when we have a big volume of content like that is we template it out. We create a repeatable template so that we can efficiently slot our content in and process all of it in a reasonable amount of time. But like it or not, programs built like that can feel really repetitive for the learner, and eventually you're going to lose their attention if you don't keep things fresh. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to quickly build a program that teaches a high volume of content while keeping the learner active and engaged all the way through. And yes, I did say quickly. And if you're here because you crave a way to make training that people actually look forward to and makes a real-world impact, then check out the Effective Gamification Framework, which is my program for e-learning designers who are done making training that's a chore to get through. Book a call with me at the link below and we'll see if we're fit to work together. Now, onto the video. So my goal here is to build a program that teaches you to recognize every single bone in the human body, all 206 of them, because they're all important, they all have to be in there. And of course, we always start with the learning objectives, but I want to draw your attention to the real world context here. We need to know what the learner should be able to do, but also in what context will they do it. This matters because if the learner is a medical student who needs to pass an anatomy test, then we can probably get away with having them just label all the bones on the skeleton. But if my learner's an archaeologist, they might just find one bone totally out of context. If I find this bone, I don't know where it goes in the body. I have to first recognize it as a wrist bone and then know its name. That's a totally different real-world task. So my learning objective is, when shown a bone out of context, the learner will be able to locate it in the skeleton and name it. Keeping your real-world context in mind makes your training way more relevant for the real-world application, whatever that ends up being. And that's the foundation for keeping learners engaged. Not the bells and whistles, not bribing them with badges, actual relevance, and it makes your job easier. So looking at my learning objective, there's really 3 components that they need to know here. The bone's shape so that they can recognize it, the name, and the location in the body. And they'll probably need a lot of practice. So in order to foster that practice in a way that's not repetitive, I'm going to use these 3 components to create 4 different activities of increasing difficulty. And I'm going to put each bone through each activity, so the learner gets to see each bone several times but differently. And I've also split my skeleton into 6 parts: skull, thorax, pelvis, spine, arm, and leg. So those are my levels. Now let's look at the 4 activity types. As per usual in effective gamification, we try never to give the learner information, but instead we give them a way to figure it out. Because if they're active, then they're paying attention. And if they pay attention, the training sticks more. So the first challenge is really easy. I'm going to have them assemble the skeleton part by part. So here, when you take part of the skull and you drop it in the right spot, you get its name. That's how you get exposed to the name, but notice I'm also already exposing you to what the bones look like out of context. Production-wise, I just have to build one of these puzzles for each of my 6 body parts. And there's a lot of reuse here. Once I've built one of them, the logic for every body part is the same, and I just have to swap out the pictures and the labels. So that's level 1 for each of my 6 body parts. For level 2, we can have them do the exact same thing, but this time I'm giving them the bones one at a time, so it's harder. You can't just start with the easier ones and work by elimination anymore. From a production standpoint, I'm using the exact same storyline slides, and I'm only adjusting the logic a tiny bit so that bones appear one at a time. Easy peasy. Level 3, now that they've seen the names of the bones twice, I'm going to start testing them on those names. There's lots of ways to do this, so I'm just going to show them the bone in context, and I want them to pick the name. So now you're given the shape and the location, and you're asked for the label. Level 4 is where it gets really harder. Now we're seeing the bone out of context, and you only have the shape, you don't have the location, and you have to name it. And when you do, I am going to place the bone in the skeleton, again to give you one more exposure to that location. We're almost at the point where the task is as hard as real life, but we're not there yet because we're still working on one part of the body at a time. So now I've got 24 levels split into the 6 body regions. For any given part, like the skull for example, you have to pass each level to unlock the next harder one. But you can freely jump from one body part to another. So if they get tired of skull, they can play leg for a while. That way we're giving them a good balance of guidance and autonomy. And finally, once you've aced all the parts of the body separately, you're going to unlock the final assessment level where you're going to be shown the bone without any context, so you have to figure out where in the whole body it goes. You have to pick the right body part first and then name the bone. So here you're not told if this is from the arm or the leg, so you do have to be able to tell a wrist bone from a kneecap. So we're really simulating what they'll have to do in the real world. Identify a bone from only its shape out of the entire 206. So that's the whole game, and if you're paying attention, you'll notice that I've only put in cognitive mechanics. There's no rewards and incentives here other than just progressing to the next level. You can, of course, add motivational mechanics if you want, but you don't have to. And if I was to add one, it would probably be a useful reward like a skip power-up. When I'm being asked to identify a bone that I really find too hard, I can just skip it for something easier. Now, some of you might ask, well, isn't it going to take forever for the learner to get through all these levels? And there's three things to keep in mind. First, I haven't really tested this on real humans yet. It's entirely possible that once they've been through this first level, they know the names well enough that they don't need to be re-exposed to them in level 2. So I could potentially get rid of these 6 levels if I find that people do well enough without them. Second, in this program, there isn't a part where you're teaching first and a part where you're testing. Because these are cognitive mechanics, these two elements are merged together, so you're saving time while keeping the learner constantly active. And third, and most importantly, progress through this is based on learner performance. If someone's doing super well, then they'll get through this really quickly and they never have to sit through a phase where they're being taught about stuff they already know. And on the parts where they are struggling, they get to practice until they get it, and so everyone gets the exact amount of practice they need to reach a learning objective, whether that's a little bit or a lot. So this is a template that's based on the content, lets learners practice a lot of information in a way that's relevant to the real world while keeping things fresh. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I'm curious, what are some of the content-heavy courses you've had to build? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.